Well, it's Monday. It is the first official workday of the week. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM. This is the flow of God's own state. It is still the part of the morning show. Our morning show, we call it Morning Spies. And of course, this is where we take a look at the closer look at issues as it affect our dear nation Nigeria, and also as it affect our dear state Abia State. Welcome once again. It is the pinnacle of all discussions, the first edition for a new week, today being the 20th day in the month of July 2020. My name is Michael Oni. The program runs Mondays, Wednesdays, and also Fridays right here on Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. Now this morning we're taking another holistic look at the anti-corruption war in Nigeria. The anti-corruption war and the storm inside the teacup. It is probably only in Nigeria that you are shocked with a story that a toilet has been built for 60 million naira. This is not a joke. If you're in doubt, you can refer to the ongoing probe of the NDDC Interim Management Committee activities being conducted by the National Assembly. Now, no country is inherently immune to corruption. What makes the difference between a more corrupt country and a less corrupt one is the incentive structure of their anti-corruption institutions and the integrity of those running them. And as the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, rightly says, corruption is a failure of institutions. That institutional failure is what engenders endemic corruption in Nigeria. I mean, look around, you will not only see what sociologists call pillars of integrity, credible institutions that can act as a powerful countervailing force against corruption. Now, we're taking a look at that this morning. A prosecutor with the Special Presidential Investigative Panel for Recovery of Public Property, Oluwatosin Ojaomo, accused the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami SAN, of withholding approval for the prosecution of hundreds of assets, forfeiture, and other criminal cases. He went further and explained that the cases were investigated and handed over to the AGF, that's the Attorney General of the Federation's office, by the panel, the Presidential Panel Investigation Panel for Recovery of Public Property, that's the SPIP, on the directive of the President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019. Now, the President had in September 2009 dissolved that particular investigation panel, while directing the Attorney General of the Federation to immediately take over all outstanding investigations and other activities of the SPIP. It was reported in November 2019 that over 500 case files were retrieved from the office of the disbanded panel. The report noted that an 8-man panel was set up by the Department of Public Prosecutions in the Ministry of Justice to review the heaps of files. Meanwhile, according to the prosecutor, Malami has failed to file the cases in the court in violation of the Presidential Directive and Section 1 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. He cited the case as two brothers. He cited the case of two brothers, as an example, Ibrahim and Tijani Tumsa, who he said allegedly retrieved without due process 86 expensive vehicles and real estate seized by the panel on the orders of the Federal High Court. Commenting on the allegation, Malami was sitting on 600 files. The chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, Professor Itse Sage, said he was not surprised, alleging that the Attorney General of the Federation was not playing his part in the anti-graft war. This is coming from another person, right? In the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, Professor Sage stated that the Attorney General of the Federation was at best lukewarm to the anti-corruption campaign, if not hostile, in quote, to it. Sage, who shared his working experience with the Attorney General, also said Malami has discontinued cases without cases being prosecuted by the EFCC without any rational explanation. According to him, the Ministry of Justice under Malami had also withheld important documents and refused to cooperate with anti-graft agencies it was supposed to coordinate. These are very huge allegations. Now, when confronted with the accusations against the Attorney General's media aide, Dr. Umaru Gwandu, said Malami is the one championing the anti-graft campaign of the government of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration, noting that the successes recorded so far were the result of his commitment. Dr. Gwandu argued that the successes in the anti-graft efforts were recorded as a result of the National Anti-Corruption Plan by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, and that sought it to the provision of conducive atmosphere for coordinated operation among relevant agencies. Missing files, those are very huge allegations. Also, the Director of Press, Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Modupe Ogunduro, when contacted, did not respond to the request for an update on the cases handed over to the AGF by that presidential panel since last year. Now, this morning on the platform, we want to zero in on the Cold War amongst those who are supposed to be fighting the graft in Nigeria. For emphasis, you will recall that Ibrahim Magu's ordeal stemmed from a petition from the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. The same Attorney General of the Federation is being accused this morning. Now, the presidential adversary on anti-corruption led by Professor Itse Sage also have an axe to grind with the Attorney General of the Federation, plus the alleged poor treatment of recovered assets. So it looks like we've not seen the end to the Cold War, among those that are supposed to be fighting graft in Nigeria, especially those in the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Joining me this morning on the discussion right here on the platform on Flow 94.9 FM is a lawyer, of course, Umuahia-based legal practitioner, Barrister Mike Undu. Glad to have you join us this morning on the platform, Barrister Mike.
Thank you, my brother Michael Oni. I'm glad to be on the platform this morning.
Oh, great. Now, where do you think we are headed in the anti-graft war when those who are supposed to be leading the onslaught are busy trading accusations?
Well, my brother, it's quite unfortunate and quite disappointing that those we had hoped that were going to help us recover all the alleged looted funds are also the people that have started disappointing us by also becoming the looters again. It's quite unfortunate, and I think something needs to be done as quickly as possible to ensure that the trend is reversed. I think this is in time the presidency ought to do something about the people he gives such responsibility, because you need honest and upright persons to occupy such positions so that at the end of the day they will be able to do justice to the position.
Now, the latest one, I'm sure you're aware of the latest one, the accusations leveled against the Attorney General of the Federation. Those are huge allegations. Don't you think it's a setback on the fight against corruption, which is one of the major pillars of this administration, President Muhammadu Buhari's administration? Taking a look at last week, Magu's alleged corruption, despite being heading that particular anti-graft institution.
Yes, I think it's a huge setback for the chief law officer of the nation to be indicted in such manner. He ought to be seen as an upright person, being the one that is expected to prosecute those who perhaps are alleged to have committed crime, including corrupt practices. And quite unfortunately, he is the one that is being accused now. So it's quite unfortunate for our nation. It's quite unfortunate for the present administration. And I think also that the president of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari, should do something about it. Because he who goes to equity should certainly go with his hands. So for the chief law officer to be indicted in such manner, it has already made his image. If it were in advanced countries where things are done properly, believe you me, would simply resign his position honorably, because he is no longer what people. He has lost people's confidence by these allegations. In as much as
yes, I can hear you.
To be innocent, but then holding such position, he ought not to at least bring yourself so low to be accused of having gotten involved in practices.
Okay, can we say that President Muhammadu Buhari has failed to exercise good judgment in the fight in fighting corruption in Nigeria?
Well, I wouldn't say so. He is just one man. You see, sometimes you give credit to him for at least initiating the process. But quite unfortunately, the people he trusted and gave them the opportunity to assist him fight it have also disappointed him. So he needs to change the set of persons that he's using to fight corruption. That is just my take on that. For him, he has good programs for initiating it, for wanting to fight this, but he cannot do it all alone. He has to bring in people just like he has brought them, but unfortunately, they've disappointed him and disappointed Nigeria. So you need to change them as quickly as possible so as to continue with the fight against corruption.
As the law officer of the Federation, as the chief law officer of the Federation, at what point can he take over a case?
No, incidentally, without him approving for you to even start prosecuting, you cannot even start prosecuting. That is the law. He is the chief law officer. So before any file is taken to court, he ought to have vetted it, at least to say whether or not through his DPP, the Director of Public Prosecution, to know whether there are enough pieces of evidence in the file to get the accused person convicted. Then if that is not the case, he can also decline going to court. So what I'm saying in fact is that he initiates the prosecution, and he can also withdraw it through what we call nolli prosequi. He can also withdraw it, but all he is the one involved. He initiates and he can also withdraw. So he started from the beginning. Once police finish the investigation and they send the file to him, he vets, and then he can approve that he should be the person that should be arraigned for prosecution.
Okay, Barrister Mike Undu. Now, what are the legal process that can be taken against the Attorney General of the Federation now that we have a very big issue on ground, a very huge allegations against the person of the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, SAN?
Well, the point is that no one is above the law. He is just an ordinary citizen of Nigeria. Granted that he is the chief law of the Federation does not mean that he cannot be prosecuted. Prosecution. So the best the president should do as the chief security officer of the nation is to first of all relieve him of his position, let investigations be done into the allegations put against him, and if he is found culpable, he cannot be charged to court, perhaps by another attorney general.
All right, Barrister Mike Undu, thank you very much for joining us this morning on the platform right here on Flow 94.9 FM.
Sure, Michael Oni, thank you very much.
Now, well, a lot is happening concerning this anti-graft war, the war against corruption. President Muhammadu Buhari's anti-corruption war, the anti-graft war, was declared by the president himself, the fourth democratic president of Nigeria. This is the war against all forms of corruption in Nigeria. And during the presidential elections campaign in 2015, if you can remember, the president vowed to fight against corruption and insecurity if elected, and since his election in April 2015, anti-graft war remained one of his topmost priority. The anti-graft war was even endorsed by the President of the United States then, the United States Secretary of State John Kerry, at the World Economic Forum held in Davos, that's in Switzerland, extolled, and of course they did extol the Buhari's anti-graft war. And in October 2015, the United Kingdom pledged her support for Buhari's anti-corruption war. And of course, the issue on ground now, let's just oppose it with some of the examples that we've had. Now, like I told you, if you look around, you will not see what sociologists call pillars of integrity, credible institutions that can act as powerful countervailing force against corruption. And if you doubt that, just cast your mind back to Dasuki Gate, the $2.1 billion arms purchase scandal that broke out in 2015. Which state or civil society organization in Nigeria was untainted by this scandal? None. Traditional institutions, religious groups, and the media, those that Marcus Fellon, the sociologist, called intimate handlers or guardians, because they could influence the behaviors of others allegedly benefited from the loot. And over the past few years, there have been iconic images transmitted around the world of how grand political and administrative corruption flows from the top in Nigeria. The latest one is this one we're revealing this morning on the program. The prosecutor with the Special Presidential Investigative Panel for Recovery of Public Property, Oluwatosin Ojamo, that particular investigation panel has been disbanded by President Muhammadu Buhari, but with a directive that all the cases should be handed over to the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation for prosecution. And Oluwatosin Ojamo is coming up to say that, well, since 2019, that those cases have been handed over. Over 500 case files were retrieved from the office of the disbanded panel. The report noted that an 8-man panel was set up by the Department of Public Prosecutions and the Ministry of Justice to review the heaps of files. But the Attorney General of the Federation has failed to file the cases in court in violation of the presidential directive. And, well, you've seen what is happening right now. The most recent of these images also happened last week is the suspension of the investigation of Ibrahim Magu, the acting head of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), on various corruption allegations. In 2017, the image of the then Senate President Bukola Saraki was shown worldwide sitting in a dock at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, looking not so happy as he faced a 13 count of false asset declaration and corruption. He was later acquitted anyways, but the state believes he still has a case to answer. Or who can forget the removal from office last year of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onoge, on allegations of corruption? What about the jailing of the former Inspector General of Police, Tafa Balogun? That was far back in 2005 for the large sums of illicit money traced to his account. Or the arrest of in 2017 of the head of the National Intelligence Agency, Ayoke, for the unexplained $43 million in his possession. One could go on. And of course, if the heads of the country's anti-corruption body, the legislature, judiciary, police, and intelligence service could be arrested and charged with corruption, one interpretation is that the country is seriously tackling corruption. And that's the presidency's take on Ibrahim Magu. Remember the statement by Garuba Shehu, President Buhari's senior media assistant, that there is no better indication than the fight against corruption is real and active. But we're taking a look, of course, a closer look to this fight against corruption this morning. And of course, we're trying to reach the Director of Legal Defense and Assistance Project of SERAP. Of course, okay, SERAP, all right, thank you. Chino Obiaku. Glad to have you join us. Okay, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, Chino, we are concerned with the obvious institution and deficiency in the fight against corruption in Nigeria. I don't know what will be your immediate reaction. Just last week, we had the issue of Magu. Now, recently is the latest one, the accusation against the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. How do you react to this?
Well, first, my name is Chino Obiagu, and I work with the Legal Defense and Assistance Project, LEDAP.
Okay, LEDAP.
Yes,
all right, thank you.
Yes. I understand that, of course, we've always been concerned that there's little or no coordination among agencies, working on to fight corruption in this country. And I think that is really very worrisome. Not just EFCC, but also ICPC, Code of Conduct Bureau, Public Complaints Commission, and so on. All these are supposed to be under the Attorney General, because he is the one that's supposed to supervise these agencies. And there's a need for much more coordination, much more consistency in the policy. And these accusations are not helping matters, because it dents the credibility of anti-corruption institutions themselves.
Okay, now you're saying that the fight against corruption should be under the supervision of the Attorney General of the Federation. Now, the Attorney General has been accused of sitting on heaps of files. That's according to the prosecutor of the Special Presidential Panel for Recovery of Public Property, Oluwatosin Ojamo. Don't you think this is a dent on the fight against corruption in Nigeria by President Muhammadu Buhari's administration?
Of course, that's what is important. That's what I said. Those accusations does not help matters. But remember, that's merely accusations. They have not been proved, what are those files? He mentioned the files he's sitting on. I think it's important that these accusations and counter accusations are properly managed and, if possible, properly investigated by the government. I do not think that the sitting on fines, because EFCC can as well file cases in court,
Okay.
even without resort to the Attorney General. The Attorney General only has power to take over, the prosecution of such case. But to initiate the cases, I don't see any justification saying that the EFCC, that the Attorney General is sitting on it, because you have the power as an institution to file the case in court. Anybody, even the police, can investigate a corruption matter and file it in court without authorization from Attorney General. So
Okay. Let's take a closer look to the anti-corruption war in Nigeria by this administration. How will you rate President Muhammadu Buhari's administration in the fight against corruption?
Well, I think the first of all, the institutions responsible for anti-corruption have been very selective in their approach. We see allegations against current political office holders or members of the ruling political party APC, and they're not being investigated. We're also seeing the EFCC losing a number of cases, either because they're not prepared for prosecution, or they just want to create media hype. So I think they've not done well. They've not done as much as they claim they're doing in terms of prosecuting corrupt public officers. But having said that, it's important to also note that there is an improvement from the last administration in terms of anti-corruption war. At least today we are seeing investigations in massive scale of many of the corrupt transactions in the oil and gas sector. We are seeing investigation in the area of oil subsidy scams and so on and so forth. But they need to do more, and you can only achieve more with better coordination.
The fight against corruption didn't start today. You will agree with me, Mr. Chino Obiagu. You will agree with me that this fight against corruption did not start in this administration. It did not start today. Why are we so corrupt? Why are our political leaders so corrupt?
Of course, it's all about impunity. The impunity means people do things wrongly and get away with it. When people are not punished for wrongdoings, they continue to do it. Others are encouraged to do so. So it's all about impunity. The impunity is not just in the area of corruption. I mean, we talk about corruption. It's not just about stealing money. There's also corruption. Also means abuse of office, nepotism and so on. So not only corruption, it's judicial killings. Police, law enforcement officers killed innocent citizens, and nothing happens, and they're not prosecuted. People commit, public officers or public officials abuse their powers of the offices, and nothing happens. So it is impunity, and because there's impunity in the country, that's why corruption thrives.
Okay, now, with your reaction now, members of the ruling party in Nigeria might disagree with you. They will come up with answers like when it comes to issue of corruption, that corruption exists in all other countries, from China to Russia to USA, United Kingdom, and all other countries. But the question is, what makes Nigeria stand out like a sore thumb?
Well, I'm not sure Nigeria stands out like a sore thumb. I mean, there's corruption everywhere. Look at the Transparency International Index. Nigeria is not perhaps the most corrupt, in that index. But the corruption level in Nigeria is huge, and why it is prominent is because also the high level of poverty that could have been ameliorated if public funds are not being stolen. All the money that has been stolen by public officials could have been used for public infrastructures, for funding education, for funding public health, and improving the livelihoods of most Nigerians. So the high rate of extreme poverty in the country is what makes the Nigerian corruption very alarming, because it's very disheartening. When you are stealing from a very poor country, it's very disheartening. Again, the volume of money being stolen at the time is also very disheartening. And more importantly, the absence of punishment, the prosecution of people who are corrupt. A lot of cases, former governors who were accused of stealing money, their cases have been in court for 10 years. Some more than that. So when there is a situation where people are not being punished, there's impunity, then it's very worrying, not just to Nigeria, but also to the world community.
Okay, China took it a step further by prescribing death sentence for corruption to serve as deterrent, which I believe is why such country have consciously taken steps through the establishment of governance structures to curtail corruption. Of course, manifest results as reported by the global corruption watchdog, the Transparency International. Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has also been accused of not carrying out diligent investigations, which is evidence in litany of lost cases. I want you to proffer solution now to the problems that we have concerning the fight against corruption in Nigeria. How can we improve the system?
Well, first I must say that death penalty is not a solution to fighting crime. The severity of punishment does not deter offenders. What deters offenders is high possibility of being apprehended and prosecuted. So if corrupt people in Nigeria are being prosecuted, if corrupt people in Nigeria are being arrested and properly investigated and punished, then the incidence of corruption will reduce. There's no doubt about that. So the only solution is to strengthen the fight against corruption, ensure that people who are suspected to have stolen public funds are properly investigated and effectively prosecuted. That is the only solution. Once that is not done, corruption will continue to strive, because if you don't punish people for committing crimes, other people will go ahead and commit the same crime. So that's the first thing, strengthen those institutions. Now, how do you strengthen those institutions? By putting the right people in the right place, ensuring that there is a watchdog. EFCC, ICPC cannot police themselves. There must be a watchdog to ensure that they themselves are not corrupt, that they themselves are not compromising the cases. So there must be a system, and that's the purpose why the Attorney General is there, to be the supervising ministry. But they need to do more to create civil oversight over the anti-corruption agencies, so as to strengthen their credibility, to reduce corruption, internal corruption, and ensure that they have a good, efficient system. So I think strengthening those institutions and fighting impunity are the key to reducing corruption in Nigeria.
All right, Chino Obiagu, Director Legal Defense and Assistance Project, LEADUP. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the platform.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, sir. That's the Director Legal Defense and Assistance Project. Of course, lending his voice and weighing in on the fight against corruption in Nigeria. You can also be part of the conversation now. The lines are very much open, both the studio lines, the SMS line, and also the WhatsApp line now. 0808 182 6949 or 0811 605 2949. You can also drop messages on 0906 510 8289, both WhatsApp messages and the SMS, regular SMS messages. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
You're welcome.
My name is Chidebra.
All right, you're welcome.
Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. Remember that somebody like Sambo Dasuki had a case of corruption as a result of 2015 general election. And somebody like Olisa Metu, that they said he collected money from, is languishing in prison. While he himself, who gave the money to Olisa Metu, is free, roaming around the streets. If you say that you're fighting corruption, try to fight that your corruption holistically, not being one-sided, not using it as a political witch hunt or a kind of, because he was somehow President Buhari was actually using ESDC as a machinery to fight most of his opposition.
That's a very huge allegation.
My brother, that's the truth.
You can only say allegedly using, because it cannot be emphatic.
Now, my brother, if Magu can come out and say that Attorney General of the Federation has a lot of misappropriation of funds under his control, that he has a lot to answer. I expect President Buhari to ask this particular agency to come out full and tell us what is happening, and also all the Attorney General of the Federation to come and answer those questions. Remember, at last week, there were a lot of revelations that was unveiled by EFCC as regards to this same Attorney General. You can imagine the last born of this Attorney General has an exotic.
Those are serious allegations that have not been proven.
My brother, see, in every allegation there's an atom of truth.
Those are allegations, so you can only say allegedly. All right, you'll quickly wrap up your thoughts.
Yes, my brother. So if Buhari is actually fighting corruption, he should be, let this particular corruption of a thing be holistic, because I won't accept fighting the south, while the northerners are really enjoying with corruption. When it comes to Nigeria.
All right. Your time is up anyways.
Not like northerners.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's Pastor Gibbs. I'm calling from Umar.
You're welcome, Pastor.
Yeah, the anti-corruption fight of the present government is a good initiative, but it lacks credibility. In the first instance, there's no way you can fight corruption without fighting nepotism. And then by the time he uses only those who are very close to him, close associates, northerners, to fill all the important and strategic security apparatus of the government and all that, it doesn't really show he's fighting corruption. And then you see him flouting false rules and injunctions. So how can somebody who is fighting corruption be promoting corruption yourself? When there is lawlessness in the land, then the war against corruption will look like a mirage. So that's just the areas where he himself contradicted himself by using people that made them to develop means. They saw themselves as almost bigger than the nation. So that is why they got to the point where the whole thing seems to be a mess. So that's my take.
All right, thank you for your take. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
I'm George calling from Alabama.
All right, George.
Michael, we have to give kudos to Muhammadu Buhari for this fighting against corruption. He's really trying. Michael, let me tell you, here in Nigeria, there are a lot of corrupt politicians under this administration. Look at local government. There is no local government chairman here that can boast of building ordinary toilets for his constituency. Then you go to Airline, look at they're going Airline workers 25 months of salary. Well, there are a lot of corruption going on here in Abia State. Go to Asupep, you will know what I'm talking about. Michael, please, I want to urge Muhammadu Buhari to come and help us and fight corruption down here in Abia State. Please, look at pensioners. Some are paid, some are half paid. Some of them, their salary is not even up 2,000 naira, and they will pay them half salary and pay some half salary. And they will come on air and be telling us they have viewed this, they have viewed that. Yes, tomorrow they will come on air and be saying President Muhammadu Buhari is not fighting corruption. Look at flyover, so-called
all right,
flyover.
Quickly wrap up your thoughts.
I want to urge these Okano, please come and help them and build this so-called flyover they are building. Since they cannot build it.
Okay, thank you. Let's stay on the discussion. Let's stay on the conversation anyways. Thank you very much for your contribution. Hello, good morning to you. We lost that. We've got messages very much, so many messages here. Good morning, Honorable Michael. Corruption is undeniably endemic in Nigeria. In recent times, it has become audaciously official. But what we must take in cognizance that not only leaders are corrupt, corruption is also among followers in all facets of human endeavor. Chinedu, that's coming on the WhatsApp line. We've got this coming from Bishop from Uzuakoli. Okay, Chukuma Imo, also known as Bishop. Why will Buhari name Common Railway after Jonathan? What of airports, institutions? Okay. I don't think this is for this program. Anyways, keep your messages coming. We've got more calls. Hello, good morning to you. We lost that. Hello, good morning to you. We also lost that one. This one says the federal government and military has failed Boko Haram. Okay, let's stay on the discussion. Good morning. I support death penalty for the political corrupt officers so that we, the innocent ones, can live well. The suffering is much. Osinachi from Farm Amachara. All right. This one says, good morning. Buhari and his cohorts failed, but the emphasis should shift away from APC to the Nigerian political class. They are drawn from all the political formations for a protest against this political class. Recovered funds are relooted. New funds are looted. Nigeria is now a phenomenology, really, in the eye of the international community. A bag of rice as palliative gives them the complacent, masochistic idea that the rest of us are inferior. Stop them now. As that's coming from Steve Onigbo, PhD. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yeah, Charles from Umaya.
Welcome, Charles.
Yes, according to somebody's theory, there's an atom of truth on every allegation. If that is anything to go by, you know that people have been accused of looting hundreds of billions of naira and dollars in Asia. So there is atom of truth in that those allegations. Now, I want to say that I want to commend our God-given President Buhari for making the attempt at all. Because these things are happening now because corruption is being exposed. The whistleblower and people are now coming forth to talk. It is a good start at least. It has never happened before, and it is happening now because of the person. It doesn't matter for me because he wants to work with people. If people are put in a position and you disappoint yourself and Nigeria, some circumstance out of ignorance will be calling Buhari. If you see in a position, disappoint yourself, you disappoint your Nigeria, and you'll be calling Buhari. I will ask, let them tell us accounts of Buhari in foreign countries. His properties in foreign countries. God has sent him to sanitize Nigeria. If Nigerians want to kill him like they killed Jesus, that is their own problem. But we must commend Buhari. I was listening to one item, and this item, he was given an award, I think, by United Nations African Organization or something. Yes, let us continue here to call him.
All right, quickly wrap up your thoughts.
To fight corruption. So the corruption war is on, whether we like it or not.
Okay.
Everywhere in Nigeria, there is corruption. Even during Jonathan, Nigeria was declared the most corrupt country in this world.
According to which index?
They are Nigerians.
All right, quickly wrap up your thoughts.
My suggestion is that we should borrow a leaf from China. Death sentence should be the penalty for corruption.
Okay, thank you. Your time is up, actually. Thank you very much. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. Ugonna from Umobia.
You're welcome, Ugonna.
Honestly, personally, I don't think there is either a fight or a war against corruption. There is maybe a kind of WWE kind of thing or a romance with corruption. That is the truth from my own perspective. You see, when you say war, assuming one country is fighting war with another, you will see victims. So where are the victims of this corruption if they say there is a war? Who has been, seen, investigated, jailed, and all that kind of something? Because if you see the humongous corruption in Nigeria, I say there is war. I don't personally believe. There are certain things we should strengthen institutions and use people that have been tried and tested to man these institutions, and then we'll say whether it's a fight. You don't just appoint anybody and any person to come and head certain agencies where they will be influenced by, money or by political appointment or anything, and they say there is a war or there is a fight. Honestly, to me, we've not scratched the surface. The reason there is high level of poverty, you understand, despondency, greed, and the illiteracy in Nigeria is because the money meant for roads and other things, schools and other things, have been stolen. Can you mention one institution in Nigeria that is not corruption ridden? We have had cases in the past. GFDC, NNPC, NDDC, PSCN, NIDA, NIPOS, NPA, Customs, NPA,
All right.
INEC.
All right, to go now. Quickly wrap up your thoughts.
With corruption. So who is that sent?
Okay, quickly wrap up your thoughts.
We must do what is necessary to sanitize this country. Otherwise, like the president himself once acknowledged, corruption will finish this country, and I think we are almost at the verge now. We're almost finished.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Ugo Emezwe from Osaibe Question Kingdom.
All right, you're welcome.
Yes, Michael, just like the last caller said, Buhari is losing the fight against corruption. And let me remind everybody that are listening, it was during under PDP administration that the AFCC, ICPC, they were established as a corruption fighting agency. And you recall what the then president did to the IG. You can also recall what happened to Alamese, even Fayose as a PDP governor. And when you come to the APC, it's mind-boggling. Do you know that the current state minister for petroleum, the current minister now, he had a corruption cases that the Attorney General entered a nolli prosecute, and those charges were, discharged of him, and today is a minister. You are talking of an Adam Oshemole that has a court case. We are talking of a corruption case. We are talking of the PDP people. Look at Babachi Lawal. They just removed.
Are you saying it's been one-sided?
My brother, whether one-sided or not, how can a president allow an Akpabio? You can say what is coming out. I thought that Mr. President should stamp his feet and say, Akpabio, go ahead. Look at the haste with which they remove Onoge. Look at even Malami, that is the chief law officer, the allegation against him, the kind of properties he has across the country. Yet Mr. President is keeping quiet. And let me tell you the boast of Magu. Magu has all the taps on all of them. So what they are doing
quickly wrap up
Mr. President should, as a matter of fact, charge these people to court. They should stop in Tatana. The war against corruption for me is dead and buried. God bless you.
Thank you for your contribution. We've got messages. Good day. If our leaders who travels out of this country and sees what is obtainable there and refuse to replicate it here, then I'm pushed to say that the man who said traveling is part of education is wrong. The level of corruption is high. Let's start fighting corruption from our homes. And that's coming from engineer Aga Undubisi. Good morning, Mike Oni. It is highly condemnable that corruption overrides transparency in Nigeria and unreasonably celebrated. Chinedu Ginigeme. All right. Thank you very much for your calls, for your messages, and of course for your contribution. And also many thanks to our guests this morning, Barrister Mike Undu and Mr. Chino Obiagu, the Director of Legal Defense and Assistance Project Lead Up. And the video of this program will be out later on today on our YouTube page, www.youtube.com/Flow FM TV. Many thanks to the producer of the program, that's Samson Eze. My name is Michael Oni. Stay safe and take responsibility.